In his book, The Benedict Option, Rod Dreher issued a timely warning to the church. In an attempt to engage the broader culture with the gospel, it had failed to create its own unique, distinct Christian culture, and so it had been co opted by American consumer culture. The result was an anemic church, ill prepared to face a quickly darkening cultural landscape and civilizational decline. In response, Dreher argued, following the example of Benedict of Nursia, the founder of European monasticism, it was time for the church to develop new ways of doing church. It was time to create new institutions, new strategies to help it better form disciples, minister to the broader culture, and survive the years ahead. In short, it was time for a Benedict option. Now, my book, Building the Benedict Option, is my attempt to provide a template for how the leaders in a local church might go about creating their own Benedict Option community. One of my frustrations with the American church is that in our chronological snobbery, we've too quickly thrown out the hard won experience of past generations of church leaders that I believe might offer us models for doing ministry today. Far more effective models, in fact, than those we followed for the past 40 years. The early Irish monastic movement is one such model that I think has much to commend itself. And as Philip Best points out, the Irish converted Europe to Christianity not by preaching alone, or perhaps even primarily, but by embodying Christian faith and virtue in their lives, and not least the physical organization of their communities. I therefore look specifically at the early Irish monastic movement for principles church leaders today can use to develop their own Benedict option community. And in the process, I provide the reader a brief introduction to architecture, urban planning, and real estate development, and explain how an understanding of these disciplines can strengthen the local church, help it more effectively minister the gospel to its community, and in the long run, help to turn the cultural tide. Now, by focusing on the built environment, by no means do I mean to imply that architecture and urban planning are preeminent concerns for the church, merely that they're often neglected or overlooked by church leaders when thinking of church planting or new construction. There already exist several books suggesting ways to develop a Benedict option community that focus on the spiritual practices required to do so. None that I'm aware of that focus on the actual construction and layout of such communities and why this is important. And it's just in this area of construction and real estate that church leaders, particularly pastors, are often most unfamiliar. There are myriad books on church leadership and church planting. There are not that many on urban planning and architecture and what they mean for the way we conceive of doing church. I hope my book, Building the Benedict Option, helps to remedy this situation and start a fruitful conversation for the way the church can better utilize the built environment. God bless.